Hi everyone, this is a quick tutorial on how I make my Sonic keyswap videos. I got a few requests for this, so I thought I'd try and break the process down for Marble Zone, which I just did and should be online shortly after this video. First off, I use Logic Pro, but you can of course use any DAW to do this. And as you can see, I already have some tracks set up with plugins because this is a template I made when I realized I was going to be doing a few of these. The tracks follow the basic setup for Sonic 1 and 2 mostly. Things are a bit different for Sonic 3. If I'm doing a keyswap for that, I generally have a lot more tracks. So once I'm set up there, the first step is to get the MIDI into Logic. I have my own MIDI exports from transcriptions I made using Dorico, which is just a great notation program to make sheet music in, but there's plenty of MIDI versions of old game music, which I've used occasionally. I just double check it's accurate against the original music before I use it. Once that's in, I'll have a quick listen to check everything sounds right, and of course, it sounds hilarious because I haven't assigned any instruments properly yet. Next, I'll set up the song structure, which helps me keep track of things. Split the instruments out so that each track is only playing single notes. I do this to mimic the way you had a single monophonic sound for each channel on the Mega Drive's sound chip. Okay, next I get the right sounds for each track. For Mega Drive Genesis sound chip emulation, I pretty much use Plogue Sound's Chipsynth MD for everything but the square wave sounds. Chipsynth's MD sounds great. You can really go to town with messing sounds up per the limitations of the original hardware. Highly recommend it if you're going to be making a lot of Mega Drive music. For this, we'll be using the VGM player at the back here. This lets us play VGM files of any Mega Drive soundtrack. This is great for two reasons. One is that we can solo and mute any of the channels on a song and hear exactly what's going on. And second, in Chipsynth, you can actually copy the parameters of that channel, essentially allowing you to save it as your own preset for you to use in your own music. So that's what I'll do here. For the square wave, I'll open up YMCK's Magical 8-bit plugin 2, just because it allows me a bit more flexibility in shaping the square sound. For drums, I'll generally load up a sample kit I have. These are samples I found online, and it's very easy in Logic to just map them to a kit in the sampler. And I'll just play that in since most of the drum patterns in Sonic 1 and 2 are very simple. Same with the hi-hat, but in this instance, because it's doing some weird pitch stuff, I'm being lazy and exporting the WAV of them through another VGM player I've started using called Rhymecast. It's got a great interface, it's easy. Once the instruments are right, I'll go through each track and edit the MIDI so that the performance sounds exactly like the original track. So shortening or lengthening notes, that sort of thing. I'll use Rhymecast to quickly reference as I go. Once that's all done, it's time to actually, do the major minor thing. So here I'll generally work my way up from the bottom, so starting with bass. But if I'm having trouble hearing how the key change should sound, I'll try the melody first. That way I can hear a pretty immediate change in the tone of the song, and it helps guide the rest of the key change. Getting the change to happen can either be really simple, just a case of moving a note up or down to change it to major or minor. And then sometimes there'll be a particularly tasty chord progression which uses notes outside of the key, and then I have to think about how best to handle that. A lot of the working out actually happens off camera too. I'll pick up my acoustic guitar or keyboard and I'll just test a melody I've changed or something like that. And that happens for a while. And then it's done. Once I'm happy, copy paste to loop it a few times, put a smidge of compression, and then I'll bounce it out ready to put into the video. Anyway, I hope that was useful and gave you a bit of insight into the creative process for when I do these videos. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for Marble Zone, but it's major.